Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are continuing our construction of the International Space Station here, and things are going quite well, all things considered. Next up is going to be the Harmony module, combined with the relocation of the P6 truss here over to the port side, which if I remember correctly is left, out over here, I believe. Now, the Harmony module needs to end up going exactly where these PMAs are. That does mean that we're going to have to fold the Canadarm a bit out of the way. So, I mean, an easy way to do that would be to simply have this guy traverse to, I believe, -90, not +90. And that would just fold it up and over this way, right? Although this is potentially, well, no, it should clip through. There should be no impacting issues, because that's not how robotic arms work. They clip through the ship that they're attached to. So that'll be fine. We'll just lift this guy right on up and out of the way. And from there, we're going to have to relocate the PMAs once we get here. So PMA 2 ends up being attached to the Harmony module, and these are docked together like this. The Harmony module is going to use the large docking ports. So it's going to have to attach to the Destiny lab via the small docking port, but everything else is going to be a large docking port. Then one of these PMAs, this one would be PMA 3, presumably, that gets placed on top, and then PMA 2 gets placed on the front, but like reversed. So, like, if you imagine that this section here is the Harmony module, right? This is in the right spot to be PMA 2. And then PMA 3 here would need to be rotated 90 degrees, so the little point is up, and then it goes in the zenith port. That would be the overall idea here. Now, we need to, of course, design the module. So let's hop on back to the Space Center. This shouldn't be a particularly complex design, but it is going to be a little bit of a complex mission, because we're going to end up having to do functionally 3 relocations in addition to attaching in a new node. So that's going to be a fairly extensive mission here, and so this is probably going to take several episodes. Let's hop into the VAB. We're going to try to get through this as quick as we can, and let's see what we can get done for our Harmony node. Now, I want to just load up any version of the latest version of the shuttle that we have here. So that would be anything like, say, the S3, S4 truss module. That would be fine. So this is the latest version of the shuttle. We are going to immediately ditch the cargo that's inside of here. We can get rid of all of this, all of this. We'll probably leave this docking port for the time being. Let's see here. No, actually. So we bring this out over here. This is going to need to be the large docking ports. So we're going to have to get rid of that, and we're going to need to grab... Where's coupling? There's coupling. We're going to need to grab the large docking ports here. Just because of the way this is structured, these have to be large. Okay. Now we need to do our actual, let's see, this is going to be the side that the PMA is attached to. So to that end, we need our docking arrangement. So we should go for, this is kind of a silver body, so kind of a fuel tank type thing, or maybe a structural tube or something. I don't think it's really going to be payload. So maybe we would go for like a structural fuselage or something. This is, I think, not as large as we'd like it to be. Indeed. So I think we're just going to go for an empty fuel tank here, and it's probably going to end up in size being, I don't know about Kerbadyne. What's the size in relation to the science lab? I think that's 2.5 meter, right? So it's like the same as a hitchhiker storage container. I'm pretty sure. So that's what we need to be basing this off of. Yeah, that is definitely what it is based off of. So if we go in here, we can grab the mobile processing lab and we can see, yeah, it's 2.5 meter. So that's absolutely perfect. So we need a 2.5 meter. That is, of course, going to end up being Rockamax size. So something like a Rockamax X16 fuel tank, but we want to lift this empty. It doesn't actually need to have any fuel in it. This is just a structural area. We can have this be metal in coloration. I wish that we could have this hitchhiker storage container be metal in coloration, but one thing that this module does is it provides a sleeping space for several members of the crew, specifically 4, which is actually perfect for the hitchhiker storage container. So taking a look at what the module actually looks like here, we can look at it here, and we can see this is where the PMA2 goes. The Zenith port is not marked here as where the PMA3 goes, but according to the ISS configuration here, it goes into the Zenith port. So that is absolutely fine. Looking at this, this is our Node 2 forward, this is our aft rear Destiny port, and then we've got our Columbus port in the starboard and our GEM pressurized module out to the port, and then Nadir is a docking port. This was, I believe the Nadir port was the port that the shuttle generally docked to. So that'll be absolutely fine. We can make that happen. Those are all the large docking ports. And you can see how it's like split in about half the way we have it, and then it's just quad around here. So that's really not going to be all that complicated to create. Hopping back over here, the main problem with it, of course, is that this isn't silver. But there's not a lot we can do about that, to be honest. I will go for function over form every time. So that's okay. We're going to grab our Clampotron docking ports, put this in quad. Oh, this is in mirror mode. Can we not be in mirror mode? Thanks. So something along the lines of this. Can we snap that into place? There we go. That'll do. So that's all we need for those docking ports. Now we need our docking port connecting us to the Destiny lab. That's going to be a small port, and we're going to need some adapters here. So we'll need to adapt this down, much the same way that the Destiny port did, right? And this is not the size I'm looking for. This is more like the size I'm looking for. Excellent. So we adapt this guy right on down to the small size, like so. And let's make these be... Actually, we could make these be metal. And then the only non-metal part would be this. But, I mean, there's not a lot we can do about that, to be honest, like I said. So that's fine. In the coupling, we grab a docking port Junior. And that goes in right like that. Okay. I'm going to toss a few struts in here. I'm going to bring 4 struts for each docking port. So that's a total of 6 docking ports. So we're going to bring a stack of 4 for each of these. We have plenty of struts up on the station, but, you know, it's good to have spares. So this will be absolutely fine. 2, 3, and 4, and then 2 more stacks. I wish we could duplicate stacks. Unfortunately, we cannot. 3, and... That did not take. 3, and 4. There we go. So that should be sufficient. No problem right there. That is our Harmony module. That's what this is called, right? Yes, Harmony module. So we're going to call this Harmony module. And we don't actually need to bring up anything else. Just this. The real question is, how are we going to go about putting on those PMAs? We're going to have to move them, and we're going to have to temporarily store them. We can probably just grab them with this arm and temporarily store them that way. We could even reassemble them from the arm where they're supposed to be, in theory. I would prefer to dock them, though. But this is all we should need for our Harmony module. Double checking that this is empty, and it is. That looks good. So at this point, we can stow this away. Well, that's not awkward at all. Well, we can definitely change the positioning of this to be more centered, right? So I want to pull this hinge out of here, turn off symmetry, thank you very much, and we can rotate this guy. We want to make sure that the hinge is correctly rotated. Yeah, more like that. So we can grab this hinge, and we can... Whoa, okay, the hinge is not actually connected. That's kind of wild. Okay, I guess we grab all of this. We place only the hinge. I'm going to take this fuel tank out of here. Things are a little awkward working inside of that bay. I'm going to plop the fuel tank there. I'm going to take this hinge, rotate it like so. Make sure it's snapped on there. Then I'm going to grab all of this and attach it onto here. If we need more space, we can clip that arm in, that extension arm, but I don't think we do. I think we're good there. Now we can put the aerodynamic nose cone back on. Yes, this looks fine as far as space goes. Maybe not the worst of ideas to clip this down a bit, though. Something like that. Just to utilize this space a little bit more efficiently, right? So that's absolutely fine. I'm going to grab a strut, and we're going to strut it in here. I wanted to duplicate the strut, and then we're going to strut that in over here, and then one more over here, just making sure that that's nicely secured and not going anywhere. So at this point, we don't need to lift anything else. The other components of this mission are already on station. The real question is, how are we going to go about doing this delicate juggling act? Obviously, we're going to move the P6 truss last, right? No doubt about that. Let's put this out on the pad, and let's get this thing ready to launch. We should probably double-check staging. I don't think I did anything to break it, but that's always a good idea to do. But yeah, thinking about this, we're going to need to separate out the two PMAs, because we're going to need to utilize the ports that they are docked with each other. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to move the current back PMA out, and we can get our launch started here while I'm thinking about this. So let's just set this as our target. We'll go down to 200 kilometers, launch into plane of target. Wow, that's only 7 minutes away. And we are going to get this going. Double checking the staging, all looks good. Okay. So as I was saying, I think that our best bet here is we leave our, well, okay. This is going to get more awkward than I thought it was. The idea was going to be, well, actually, no, we could do it that way. It would be awkward. We'd have to utilize the Canadarm, I think. So we would have to take out the current PMA3, right? And then that would get moved over, or actually that would be, it's currently set up as the PMA3, but we can repurpose that into the PMA2. That is going to end up being attached onto the, well, we can't do it that way. It would have to be attached onto the current position. Yeah, it would have to go onto the nadir port, or rather the zenith port. Okay, I'm getting myself all confused here. It would have to go onto the zenith port of the Harmony module, which we currently have in the shuttle in this scenario. So it wouldn't want to attach because we'd be manipulating it with the arm. So unless we use the Canadarm, we would have to use the Canadarm for that. Then use the shuttle arm to detach the current PMA2, then attach the Harmony node, then use the shuttle arm to reattach the PMA2 into the, I believe, the forward port. Or no, that would be the starboard port? It doesn't matter. We can get that figured out. Okay, it's going to be complicated, but I think I've figured out a way to do it. It's going to be a whole thing. There's no doubt about that. A whole thing. No doubt. Yikes. This is going to be a complicated ballet. But we can get it done. We definitely have the tools to do it, even with the limitations that KSP puts on docking with robotic arms, which are sad, to be sure. Very, very sad. Well, we've got about 15 seconds of burn left in our SRBs. Of course, we have to manually stage this. And we'll do that here in about 10 seconds or so. Everything should be looking good as far as this liftoff goes, and I think I have a solid picture in my head of how exactly this is going to work. So that's always a good thing. We're apparently skipping circularization. Let's not do that. Oh, I missed SRB detachment. That's my own fault. Are we safe here? I don't know that we are. We probably aren't, actually. We could lose the wings if I detach the SRBs right now. We're going to have to carry them. In my previous testing, I discovered that these engines do not match the output of this, so we get flung into the wings. You can see the trajectory that we'd get pushed at. It just isn't quite enough. Maybe if all of these were rotated to push it out instead? I don't know. At any rate, we'll just bring this up. We know we have extra fuel in the big orange tank, so I'm not concerned about carrying these SRBs further. It's inefficient, and I should have staged that, but it should be completely recoverable. We used to do it this way before we upgraded the shuttle, right? So this is absolutely fine. Not actually a concern. So our apoapsis height is just going into space as of now. Cool. And we are getting a lot of horizontal speed here, which is, of course, exactly what we're looking to do. We need another roughly 700 meters per second here, like 800, somewhere around in there. And that's absolutely fine. We're keeping an eye on our big orange tank's fuel amounts, but all is looking good on that front. Remember, it only takes like 200 meters per second to get to the station and then another 1 to 200 to brake. So once we get into orbit, we really only need about 400 meters per second. So it's not that big of a deal, to be honest. Yeah, we've got plenty of Delta V here. We've still got 1,000 in the big orange tank. It's very, very unconcerning that I missed that stage event, but that's absolutely fine. No problem whatsoever. We'll just get this circularized on up. We're still in the atmosphere, technically, as of right now. Apoapsis height is still cruising on up here, but our horizontal speed is definitely getting up there, and very soon that apoapsis height is going to start skyrocketing. We can see it already increasing exponentially, and that is great. 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108. Yep, it's definitely getting faster and faster and faster. Beautiful. We're only targeting 200, so it's fine. We'll still have fuel left over. We're going to start fine-tuning our apoapsis here. There we go. And I'm going to detach these now. Well, that's not awkward at all. Okay, well, it's absolutely fine. They're just going to be spinning forever now. At least they didn't come back and impact us. That's good. So we are coasting to circularization burn. We just need to get into position for that circularization burn. There we go. And we will warp on through. Phenomenal. And we'll just get circularized. How are we doing on our inclination? Our inclination is half a degree off. Okay, that's good enough. We shouldn't need anything more than that. So 142.1 meters per second. We can definitely see that we utilize more Delta V to get here. Oh, hang on a moment. Let's turn down those gimbal limits. There we go. That'll do. This is good enough. We're in a good enough orbit here, MechJeb. You don't need to get it perfect. We're fine here. So at this point, we should probably just reconfigure for orbital flight. We've got 474 meters per second left in the big orange tank, and that's plenty. At this point, we're at exactly the same amount as we would be at this point in the flight if we hadn't have carried the SRBs, right? So Bill, you can go ahead and EVA and reconfigure. Where are you? You did not EVA. Okay. I thought that felt weird. Cool. So let's hop on over this direction. And we'll grab on. There we go. And of course, we need to remove these struts. I should maybe consider putting some sort of a container down here to hold the struts, rather than just putting them on randomly like this. That probably has some awkward effects, but it hasn't really harmed us as of yet. Okay, there we go. We can now reconfigure this on over to be at 0 degrees instead of 100, and we'll strut it right back in. Phenomenal. So that's going to end up being about here. That'll be fine. One down here. That'll be fine. One over here. Looks good. And one up here. That one didn't quite go. Nor did that one. We'll put it internally. There we go. That'll do the trick. So at this point, we can make our way back down the shuttle. And let's head right on in. And let's see about a rendezvous. So what would a rendezvous look like here? Well, if we were to burn, say, at the periapsis, we can take a quick look. What would that be? Actually, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's not bad at all. So that's 13.4 kilometers separation. We can definitely tune that in if we so desire. But that's kind of what corrective burns are for. So we can just have it be something like this. 10 kilometers is good enough. Absolutely. I guess we can dial this in a wee bit while we turn. 9.4 kilometers is most likely just a timing issue then. Actually, that's probably just inclination, to be honest. So if we really wanted to dial it in, which we probably shouldn't, we'd just bring this around like this, right? Yeah. Something along the lines of that. And then it would just be timing. But 1.1 kilometers is close enough. Let's warp on through. And this will be absolutely fine. Why is it so dark where Bob and Valentina are? They aren't appearing in Bill's portrait. Jeb, what did you do with Bob and Valentina while Bill was outside? Bob, are you okay? He's there. Now let's get Valentina out. Yep, she's there too. Is everybody okay now? Well, Bob is missing the top of his head. And now Bill is still sitting there with no one in front of him. Valentina is also missing the top of her head. So, I don't know what Jeb did to them. And I'm scared to ask. We're on high thrust here, and we probably don't want to turn it down this close to the node. I was very distracted by apparently lobotomies happening in space. I don't know what's happening right now. We're going to start this burn in 2 seconds. That's what I do know. Now. This should be good enough. Okay, let's thrust limit this on down to about 10% here. There we go. We'll thrust, you can stop rotating. Thanks. We can thrust limit this on down to 10%, and finally this one as well. Okay, so how are we doing with that rendezvous? The answer is 2.2 kilometers. Sounds good. Let's just warp up over here, and let's swap into target modes. Excellent. What's our relative speed going to be? It's going to be 148.5. Sounds good. We're basically there right now. So where is the target? Is it too far still? It might be. Okay. Let's go, I think, towards target for right now. So that'll end up being burning out over here somewhere, right? Okay, how's that looking? Needs to come a little further over. That's decent as far as a correction for right now goes. Sure, 0.2 kilometers. So at this point, we can get around to relative velocity minus. This is about 1.5 minutes to rendezvous. I'm not sure... Oh, there's the station. Hello, station. So we're coming in very much from the nadir direction here. That's okay. No problem whatsoever there. I'm not concerned about that one. Let's warp in a little bit closer. We're at about 170 meters per second separating. And I want to push this node. We're doing another corrective burn here primarily. There we go. Oh, station is loading in. Okay, station is loading in a little faster than expected here. Let's reduce our speed. Oh, wow, that frame rate is worse than normal when we get here. Well, the good news is the frame rate is always substantially better. Substantially better once we restart the game. And that is absolutely something that's going to be happening very soon here. So that is good. 80 meters per second to go in our slowdown here. Make that 70. 60. Feels like we're going to overshoot a little bit. I don't think we're going to collide. No, we're not. So that's absolutely fine. We're coming in at a decent trajectory, actually. This is exactly where we need to be right here. No, this is solid. I like it. Moving at about 15 meters per second. I'm just going to take it down to about 5. We can see the station moving here, and this is because it's trying to maintain its up vector. I don't actually want it to be doing that right now, though. Station, please just be on kill rot. Thanks. That'll do. Okay, so we're very, very close here, no doubt about it. We're arriving at the station, but we've got a lot of work to do here. It is time to put a cut in here, and the frame rate also means that we should definitely put a cut in here and restart the game. No doubt about that. Things improve markedly by doing that. Loading this in dynamically seems to have some problems. But let's just bring this down to a halt. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings. And let's just get this all the way down to 0.0 for right now. There we go. And a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time, where we're going to have to perform a bit of a ballet to get all these parts moved around. That'll be interesting.